So Chloe, wall jumper, turnip grower, corner skulker, lived a life in the shadows. But those moments before they left the village, the ones where she perched on the wall and prepared to launch herself off into the wilderness, small bag of turnips and weeds and household things in hand, those were the moments she most treasured. The sun, just rising above the edges of the hills, would be staining the sky a faint pink. The village, just beginning to wake up, would be quiet and still, except perhaps for the distant noise of a cart trundling along the cobblestones. And Chloe, relishing the silence and the air at the top of the wall that carried the scent of dew and pine, and not the steaming, fetid odors of the town, would feel her pulse quicken at the thought of the journey that awaited. Her father would meet her at the edge of the woods, his pockets heavy with breads and pastries and cheeses he had pilfered from the kitchens, and his bags strapped to an ass he had pilfered from the barns, and the two would set out, tramping for days upon days, through bright fields and dark forests and glimmering mountain heights. These travels, thought Chloe, and not the towns that interrupted them for a scattering of months at a time, made up their real life. For it was only then, walking under the thick shadows of trees, or at the edges of wind-swept moors, or even in the gloom of dank and terrible swamps, that the worry and fear that lined her father's eyes faded, and Chloe, sensing his relief, allowed her own face to relax into a smile that, had the villagers seen it, might have caused them to reconsider the word pretty. No, even then, they would not have said pretty, but pleasant. Yes, they might have called her smile, at least, pleasant. And so it was such a smile that Chloe should have worn that morning that found her again on the wall, swinging her legs and taking in her first deep breath of non-manure-scented air. Having heard the tower bells chime 5, and having not seen her father come through the front door. Were they meant to leave today? She had rushed to wrap up their scant belongings and pluck the garden and sweep the stoop and clamber the wall. But once there, about to push off into the damp morning air, she felt, instead of joy, a small, uncomfortable seed of foreboding. She delayed a moment, frowning, wondering. Her father had not given her any warning. Usually he offered her some notice that their town days were drawing to a close. "Chloe, I am nearly finished. A fortnight, perhaps." Or, "Chloe, the steward is, I think, suspicious. Take care to heed the bells these next weeks." But this time he had said nothing. No matter. They had been in this particular village for many months, as many as they had ever stayed at another. Even the grandest manors had only so many mouldering baubles for her father to polish. He would certainly be finishing his work. Chloe glanced back. There was their crumbling house with its freshly swept stoop. There was a neighbor staring slack-jawed through a window. There were a few faint curls of smoke rising from chimneys about the town. She narrowed her eyes at the goggling neighbor. "My father does not, she protested silently, have 3 entire limbs in the grave. And he does not," she added, glaring, frowning, "sweep the night soil from the privies." She turned away, looking toward the open field. She would not miss this dreary hamlet and its gossiping inhabitants. Tightening her grip around the bag of turnips and things, she pushed off, landing lightly in the muck that laced the wall, and set off at a trot through the fields. She kept her eye on the forest edge. Her father would have left the manor under cover of dark, and he would be waiting now, with pastry-laden pockets, for her to arrive. Or he should be. She felt again that uncomfortable seed of foreboding, now a bit larger than before. A seed, perhaps, splitting and beginning to sprout. She could not see her father's silhouette, or the silhouette of a stolen ass anywhere beneath the trees. She began to run, the sack bouncing against her side. The line of trees rose and fell with her gait, and though she scanned and scanned, she still could see no form of man or donkey. "Father!" she called, when she had drawn close enough to distinguish one.